First time starting the car after the BorgWarner installation. Alright, injectors are out. These are the primaries, and then these two are 1680, the budge. You can see this injector was leaking. To be honest, I don't know. I'm not sure now if I just say fuck it and then get new fuel rails and injectors. I'm gonna take these to clean, and based on how much they're gonna charge me for cleaning and flow test them, and then I'll decide. Alright, I just dropped the injectors, and they said that they're gonna probably clean it tomorrow or the next day, and they're gonna hit me up. They said it's gonna be around 120, which I just checked, you know, ID injectors are around 260, I believe. And the issue with that is that the A50s are no longer available. Now you have to go with 1050s. It's called 1050X. And the issue is that I still have PFC, the computer, the ECU, and to be able to have a stable idle using the PFC, I think I will have to have the idle a little bit higher, like, I don't know, 1500, I'm assuming right now, you know, 1500 RPMs on idle, 1800. Trying to controlling the idle in a PFC, you know, it's hard. And if I go with 1050, then that means that I will have to go to a computer ECU, which, you know, I want to upgrade the PFC, but then if I buy a new ECU, I will have to buy the new harness or make one for the channel. Let's say that I buy the new injectors and I buy the ECU and I make the harness, but then I will need the fuel rail, new primary. I mean, I want to get rid of the freaking secondary fuel rail anyway. Looks like pink or purple, some crap like that. We'll see. All right, and we're back at home, and this is basically the primary fuel rail. This is what I was telling you guys, I think on the first video of the series BorgWarner EFR. This is the fuel damper. This is the thing that I mentioned that caused RX-7s to burn, and you have to pay attention to that if you want to keep it. In my case, if I keep the primary fuel rail, I'm gonna delete it. Some people remove it from here and then they tap a 6AN or AN to the primary fuel rail over there, and they just get rid of it. What's the purpose of that piece right there? Let me see how can I explain to you.
All right, listen up, y'all. I'm y'all substitute teacher, Mr. Garvey.
So let's use this clear bottle so I can explain to you better. So the higher you push the car, the injectors are gonna open and close rapidly. So it's gonna create this. So the fuel is just gonna be all over the place. That's when this thing comes in place. It makes the fuel pressure stable in the area. Why people remove it anyway? Because they are using a fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pressure regulator have those capabilities.
One eternity later.
Okay guys, it's been like 3 weeks and I'm still waiting for the injectors. But the only reason I took the injectors locally was to have them as soon as possible so I can at least finish the car. I keep calling and I'm still getting a lot of excuses.
First time.
But I'm gonna go to pick them up. The guy told me that at least the secondaries are ready. Okay, I have the injectors back. They never were able to flow test and clean this one, and I think I'm not gonna mention the place, but the owner got pissed because I waited like a month and 2 weeks for this thing. The 1600s, the Bosch, the secondary ones that I had, they were clean and the oil rings were replaced and all that. However, I realized that those are low impedance. With those, I'm not sure how they were working with the PFC. I was pissed and I ended up buying primary injectors and secondary injectors in addition of the fuel rail. Here they are. These ones came with a gray hat top, but I had to remove the silver hat on that one as well. These ones are 1050, and then the secondary ones I went with 1750s, I believe. This one you need 16mm top hats. So let's just get the fuel rail installed, injectors installed, and then start from there. It's funny. I was complaining about the color of the fuel rail, and look at this. Alright, so I got the primary injectors and fuel rail installed with the damper. You guys remember when I first started this video, I talked about this little thing here and what it does. So basically, this is a high-speed one and looks fancy as well. So the reason why I got it again is because look where the fuel pressure regulator is installed in this car, and this way the fuel pressure regulator can be there. Almost done with the secondary rail. I'm just gonna mark the secondary one for now to know, identify which fittings I need, and then start drawing the piping in a notebook just to make sure that I buy the right elbows, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, etc. And then remove that line that looks so ugly, and then throw the return line all the way back to the fuel tank. I keep repeating myself, but I think I'm just gonna change the fuel filter as well since we are here. That will prevent me to turn on the car quicker, because I have to wait until the fuel filter gets here. But whatever, I have to wait for some fittings. Let's just do this right the first time. All right, so that's basically how it's gonna look. I bought this fitting that goes from -8 AN to, I think is 1/8 MPT, because I wanted to put the fuel pressure sensor there. However, I had to put the plugs for the primary injectors to the rear in order to fit that -8, because the room there is really tight. In addition of, I still have the OMP injectors, oil metering pump. Usually some people leave it to the atmosphere. I just gonna run them to the oil neck like so. So if you see, that's in the middle there where the fuel pressure sensor will go. So I'm just gonna get a plug to put it there, and then I'm assuming I'm just gonna run the sensor here. I wanted to buy the Radium orbs fittings. They look nice, but then they just go straight here, and I still have the OEM coils, so I'm not sure if that line, fuel line, is gonna be in the middle, so that way I can just go straight and then curve with the line, because a 45-degree angle will hit this. Some people just thread it and put a plug there. Probably people do it and the car runs fine or whatever, like I've seen comments online. But my train of thought is, rotaries run hot, and the more coolant travel, the cooler will be. Again, that's just me, because all the hot coolant will go back to the water pump to get it cold. So yeah, let me figure out how many fittings I need. These have to be plugged to the intake manifold, So this is the line that I have from the recirculator valve in the turbo, and this thing came with a Y, so I guess I'm just gonna Y here and then run it to the intake manifold. So far so good.
Now let me show you how we do. Now let me show you how we do.
Money bag.
One debt to society later.
All right, so now that I got everything that I ordered, let's start putting everything together. This we're gonna talk about a little bit later. And the guys asked me, hey, when you're driving the RX-7 back? I was like, oh yeah, it's almost done. I only need a couple fittings and a couple sensors. And I can't believe that what you see in this video right now is almost $600, except I'm missing 2 liquid pressure sensors, so I need to stop changing shit.
Now let me show you how we do. Now let me show you how we do.
Money bag.
Now let me show you how we do.
Dollar bag.
Now let me show you how we do.
Alright, basically I'm almost done with the fuel rail and the fuel lines. Something that I will do differently next time if I have to pull this out will be mounting the lines and AN and all that, especially in this area. And then I will install both fuel rail at the same time. But this is how it's gonna look. I still have to run the feed line, which coming from the tank. I already made it. It's gonna be this one. I just have to measure the actual line to know where to cut it. But I'm gonna work in the back part because since I'm here, I'm gonna replace the fuel filter, the factory fuel filter, with this one. This one is a canister type 1. It looks like an oil filter, but the location that I'm gonna use will be more accessible than the factory fuel filter. Factory fuel filter,
What did you say?
location is a pain in the freaking butt, and to be honest, I'm not excited to work on it because you guys will see.
Let's get it.
Holy shit, look how easy now. I also gonna be installing another resistor. Ladies and gentlemen, it worked out. I mean, it's really a tight fit.